Hi, everybody. Welcome to Women in Retail Talks, the podcast where C-suite executive women in the retail space share their stories of professional growth, leadership development, personal journeys, and more. I'm Melissa Campanelli, the co-founder of Women in Retail Leadership Circle, which is a membership-based community of executive women at leading retailers and brands. Today, I'm joined by Claire Spofford, the CEO of J. Jill, the fabulous nationally recognized women's apparel brand. In this episode, we're going to be discussing Claire's career, what she's most proud of in her role as CEO, her hiring practices, and more. Claire, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Melissa. So happy to be here.
Yes, we're so excited. I'm just going to jump in at the very beginning. Tell us a little bit about your career journey and sort of how you became the CEO of J. Jill.
Sure. So I would love to be able to tell you that it was, all very strategic and deliberate, but that would be a lie. I thought when I graduated from college that I was going to go to law school, and then I worked on Capitol Hill for a year and decided I didn't want to be a lawyer. So I moved up to Boston and worked in an ad agency and a very, very, very entry level job. And decided that I would go back to business school. So I went to business school. And then I've just been really honestly lucky. When I was in business school, I developed a love for consumer and brand and the marketing end of things. And I've been really lucky in my career to have had great roles with great brands, populated by great teams, very formative years, 10 years at Timberland. Where I sort of rose through the ranks on the marketing side while the company basically quintupled in size over a 10-year period, and learned the value of, great product, great brands, and loved being surrounded by really energetic, passionate, smart people. And that all of that has stayed with me throughout my career. Post Timberland, I went over to the direct-to-consumer side with Orchard Brands. And then, most recently, prior to J. Jill, I was leading Cornerstone Brands, which was a division of Curate Retail Group. Again, great organization to be associated with and great brands. Frontgate, Garnet Hill, Grandin Road, Ballard Designs, and then had the opportunity to come to J. Jill. So I would say that there was luck involved, but I also believe that luck and fate happen when you create the opportunity for them to happen. And I'm a firm believer in that. And I think also having met a lot of great people along the way, that has always been part of what got me to my next thing as well, is, talking to people, staying connected, and I think that's how opportunities happen. So
I love that, sort of a little bit of luck, a little bit of being in the right place. That's awesome.
And a lot of hard work.
Yeah, of course. Right. So, how long have you been with J. Jill now?
Just over a year. So I started in February last year. Yeah,
okay,
as
cool.
CEO. Yep.
So please tell us about something that you've accomplished, maybe since you started at J. Jill, that you're most proud of.
Yeah. So as I often say to the team, it's not just what you do, but how you do it. And so I think that's probably what I'm most proud of. We had a really good recovery year last year, a really good reset year. You can see that in the, in the earnings releases. But what I'm most proud of is the way we've sort of constituted the team. There were several of our senior team members were already in place, had been in place, and then we brought on several others. And just the way the team has gelled and worked together and delivered those results that we delivered last year is probably what I'm most proud of.
Yeah, I know you guys have been rocking it. That actually is a great segue to my next question, which is, our listeners are very interested in leadership. They're interested in, sort of how to raise up a great team, how to develop them. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what you look for when you're hiring, and sort of when you hire them, how you train your staff and keep them motivated.
Yeah. So I think that varies by level and part of the organization and all of that kind of thing. But I will tell you, I have made a promise to my team that we won't hire any jerks. And I think
Simply put,
yeah, that's just really important. We all work too hard. We spend too much of our time and energy in our work to spend that time and energy with people that aren't respectful and open and honest and good at what they do. And so that's really, in a nutshell, my hiring philosophy. Obviously, people need to be qualified and very capable, but integrity and being a good person is really important to us. So that's really the screen. And then, the onboarding, the training, it really depends on the level and the part of the organization that someone's coming into.
Sure. So the next question I wanted to ask you was about well-being and mental health. It's such a hot topic right now. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it's just a trendy topic. It is a very important topic. It always has been, but right now it's sort of coming to the forefront. It's come up in all of our peer calls at Women in Retail about something that leaders want to delve into a little bit more. They want to learn how to, keep their teams healthy, mentally, et cetera. So can you talk a little bit about what you're doing to make sure that your employees feel that way, feel healthy and safe right now?
Yeah. So, I think, well, first of all, I think mental health is, just a general sense of well-being is so important, and probably something that just hasn't been discussed enough within the context of organizations and businesses. And so, I don't think you can really say there are any silver linings about COVID, but maybe the fact that this is becoming a much more prevalent conversation is a silver lining. And I think it's really important. We have the tools and resources in place that one would expect in terms of, ERP and support. But I think, again, sort of going back to that good people conversation, having open dialogues with your team, being supportive, maintaining an interpersonal connection, even though you may not be in the room together all the time, asking them about how they're doing, asking them about, what's going on in their life, and listening, really listening, not just, checking a box, right? Is all really important. And that may sound obvious, but I don't know that we all take the time to keep that in front of us all the time. So, I think about it in terms of how I interact with my friends and my family. And, I try to take the best parts of that are appropriate and apply them at work as well.
That's a great answer. That's such a thoughtful answer. And what about you? You mentioned your family. What do you do personally to stay, mentally healthy? And, any tips you can share for work-life balance, mental well-being, anything as a leader?
Yeah. It's really important. I think it's personal too. So I think everybody has their own ways of feeling good, or I will tell you mine are spending time outdoors, getting outside, getting exercise, which I need to do more of, but it's spring now, so I can get out more, and the days are longer, are really important to me. Spending time with the people that matter to me is also an important piece. And I will tell you, and this is, anybody who knows me well would be able to tell you this as well. It's now it's just 2 dogs. At one point we had 2 dogs, 2 horses, 2 cats, and a guinea pig. That was when my kids were younger. Now it's just 2 dogs, but they are a healing energy for me. I spend time with them. I whether that's outside doing something or just hanging out on the couch watching Netflix, they are an important part of my mental health. And I think that's true for a lot of people. I've had that conversation with lots of people over the last couple of years.
I was just going to say that comes up a lot. People's animals, dogs in particular. Let's give them a shout out. What are your dogs' names and what kind of dogs are they?
Oh, Monty and Millie. So Monty they're both rescues from the South. So Monty is called Montgomery because he came from Alabama, and we did DNA tests on him because it was so fun. He's a Basset Hound Foxhound pit mix.
Wow.
He is very needy and very stubborn, but cute. And then our obedient dog is named Millie, and she's Great Pyrenees Border Collie Lab.
Oh,
and we
wow.
don't know what else, but they're great. They're both middle-sized dogs. They're about 65 pounds, and they're wonderful.
Oh, that's so nice. I love hearing stories about that. So just sort of shifting gears a little, another topic that's very important to our group is mentorship. Women in Retail obviously is a great place to find a mentor. And, it's also a great place to do peer mentorship. Can you talk a little bit about a mentor that you may have had and how he or she helped you?
Yeah. I've been really lucky to have some great mentors in my life. I will tell you, I don't think of them, you might not like hearing this, Melissa. I don't think of them as, is it a female or is it a man?
Right, of course.
And to be honest, most of the strong mentors in my life professionally have been men. But, I think it's important to have someone who you admire, who is willing to be honest with you and open with you. And, one of my mentors is someone for whom I worked at Timberland, and he was the toughest boss I've ever had. But he's still one of my references. He's still someone I reach out to. And it's out of absolute respect for his intellect and his integrity, quite honestly. And so, sometimes what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right.
He was really hard, very demanding as a boss, but I learned so much from him, and I continue to do so. So I think it's about, again, not box ticking, but really establishing a relationship and having an openness in that relationship that allows you to learn and observe and take forward with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, those kinds of mentors are great. They're in the moment, they're probably not, but in retrospect, that's, you think about how great what you learned from them. And do you do any mentoring yourself? Like, do you have any mentors? And maybe it's not so formal, but some folks that you feel like you help out?
Yeah, I try to be open and available for people who would like that kind of relationship, for sure. I think, it isn't necessarily formal, although in some instances I will say, hey, let's put time on the calendar once a month just to check in. And, but that's about as formal as it gets. But then I think it's about, feel like I've been doing this for a long time now, so hopefully I have something useful to share. But I love it. I love talking to people about leadership, the situation, how they're thinking about their career, how they're thinking about work-life balance, that you mentioned before. And I will say, and I think I said this when I was on your panel a few years ago, because I told a story about my daughter. I will say, I think being a mom has made me a better manager, and I think being a manager has made me a better mom. And so I do bring some of that sort of interpersonal relationship to a mentoring situation.
Yes, I love
those
that.
People probably listen more than my kids. So.
I love that. And it's actually a great segue to our last question, which is that Mother's Day is coming up. I know obviously that you have kids. What joy, can you talk a little bit about what it's like being a mom and what it means to you, I guess?
Sure. Sure. It's so important to me. First of all, we love Mother's Day because it's a big holiday for J. Jill. We get lots of, but I think the best thing about motherhood, other than, my kids are now 25 and 23, and I just love spending time with them. Like, we were out in Colorado last week, hanging out with my kids, outdoors, skiing, going out to dinner, sitting around drinking wine. it's just so fun to me. They're some of my favorite people. So I guess I didn't do too bad a job raising them. But they also have the uncanny knack of always keeping you honest and humble. So, I think that's one of the best things about having kids as well.
That's great. Well, that's great. Well, Claire, I think that's probably all we have time for, but it was so great catching up with you again. I loved having this conversation with you. I love learning about what makes you you. And I'm so happy to connect again. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And this is Women in Retail Talks.
Thank you, Melissa. So happy to be here.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at womeninretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review. To learn more about women in retail and become a member of this amazing community, visit womeninretail.com. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.